right? I want to go to the art museum. I want to play soccer, but I want to do it better. And then, like, what can we do to train our minds so that we can perform better as human beings? And then also, what can we do to our minds so that we can experience less stress? And then there are further repercussions, like I'm very externally oriented, so if I learn how to get into an observer state, what will I notice about other people, how they are, how they feel? And will that possibly give me just naturally more compassion, more human understanding? And then also, we all have our own ways of seeing. And that's what the meditation tours are called. I call them waves of seeing. So we're just experimenting. Everyone can already see, but we have our own habitual ways of seeing the world. And then also, if we start looking at how we look at the world, then maybe we can also look at how we view ourselves, how we view our internal world. How do I see myself? So please come in if you just got here, but I find a seat. There are 2 empty chairs, if you would like, but in a moment I'll ask that no one comes in the room of that. And then finally, like, does the way I'm seeing, yeah, please feel free, and I think we can get more chairs if we need more. And finally, the last point is, does the way that I see, does that affect how I feel? Could I possibly avoid some level of frustration or affliction by the way that I see? Okay, so come in if you would like to come in, but we're about to start meditating. Erin, come in. I saw you walk in. I want you to experience it.
One more chair over here.
Should we get more chairs? Is anybody super uncomfortable on the floor? Because we are going to be sitting for a few minutes. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you, if you're sitting on a chair, to scoot forward in the chair so that your back is away from leaning against the chair. I would like to ask you, if you are going to participate in this, to put your drinks down, get your hands free, jackets down, and get comfortable so that you can simply, you don't have to take your jacket off if you don't want to, but either way. Get in a position where you can stay and rest, because we are actually going to meditate. So anything that's a distraction will impede your ability to meditate. And I'm going to guide you through a meditation, which is helpful. So it's a good way to have a meditative experience. So close your eyes. Have your feet flat on the floor. Find a position for your hands where they can just rest comfortably. If you're wearing glasses, you can take them off if you want to. Try to sit up as straight as you possibly can, but be comfortable. So do what you need to do as an individual to get into a position where you can stay. So don't let your head be falling too far backwards, because this increases the likelihood of agitation or excessive thinking while you meditate. And don't allow your head to fall too far forwards, because this increases sleepiness. So just level at the head. Shoulders are level. Try to forget about what happened before or what's coming later. And if you're able to just be here in this room, in your body, a person that breathes. The body breathes itself naturally. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anyone. There's no one to impress. There's no job to do. Allow yourself to just experience a moment of being. No self to be. Just experiencing right now. And then you can bring your attention to your breath at the tip of your nose. Notice the air as it flows out and then back in. And you're just observing. It's hard to watch the breath. It's a small object and we're not used to it, but it can be helpful if you allow yourself to hear all the sounds that are happening in the room. So you open your mind up to the soundscape. So as you go back and forth between the breath and the sounds in the room, fans, people moving, and just get into the observer state. And then try to take one step back from the way that your mind normally labels the world, so that when you hear a sound, you don't have to name it, you don't have to identify it, just hear sound. Breath as sensation. Relax into the state where you can just observe what's there. Without giving it a name. And then if you're able to, maintain this observer state, but allow the locus of your brain to move from the area of your physical brain and just kind of fall backwards and sink down to the level of your heart. So now you're observing from your heart. You can just put your consciousness there, no problem. Sounds, breath, thoughts can also be considered a form of sound, so you just watch them as they arise and don't hold on to them. You can just let them go. Just take a moment to notice why you came here today. So to get something. So we all have these experiences of pain or goodness, cycled back and forth. And then we're looking for something better. go back to just noticing. And we can also note that there's no one label, there's no one identity for anything. We have what we have, our way of labeling. But we're going to try to work with seeing if we can try another way. So just watch. I'm going to ask you to open your eyes and look at the artwork. So you can go ahead and do that. So look at the piece. Try to stay in the watcher state of mind. Allow your eyes to wander over it. And then notice how there are parallel needle-like lines that create texture in the jacket. Notice the contour of dark and light in the tie. Just lines, but give the sense of three-dimensionality. Notice how smaller lines are put together to create the outline of the forms. Notice how the lines are at different angles in the background to create a sense of light. And then notice how some lines create softness, like the chair behind her. Shadowed lines, darker, more dense lines create depth. And then draw your attention to the face. Notice how the artist changes gears at the face. There are many different lines, different directions. The head region is where most of the sense organs are located. The eyes for seeing, nose for smelling, mouth, taste, ears for hearing. So if I tell you that this is not a drawing, this is an etching. The artist took a copper plate and poured wax over it, and then carved lines into the wax, and poured acid into the carved areas to create indentations on the copper plate, and then put ink in the indents and paper on top. So how does knowing that change how you see the piece? better. Richer. This is a real person. He's a friend of the artist. He exists still in a place. So how does different information change how you see? Look at the wrinkles in his brow, his eyes. Is he sad? Worried? Pensive? Troubled? Smirking? Is he sweet? Angry? Grumpy? Does he remind you of anyone you know? So how do all these suggestions and your own memories change how you see him? And then is it possible that this is going on for us all the time? That we see through the eyes of our own knowledge, our own memory? So by way of conclusion, I will just encourage you as you go through the day, the rest of today, to notice the judgments that we make when we meet other people. The brain is wired for using as little glucose as possible, and when it already knows the label, the identity, it doesn't have to use glucose. So we are wired to already know as much as possible. But are we really seeing? How can that make you, does it make you more open if you knew that? Or maybe you already know. And so the artist is Lucian, I don't know how to say his name, Freud. He's the grandson of Sigmund Freud. His piece was made in 2003. So that's it. And if you would like to come on the tour, we do that for about 45 minutes. And it's very interesting. The meditation comes from the Tibetan Mahamudra tradition. Any questions? Okay, thank you.